I'm Timothy Maurice Webster. I'm an author in the area of brain and brand science. The Live Better Capitec Talks with the Idols Top 16 was really focused, from my perspective, was focused on how to take their story and elevate it to a position of influence. The first thing I want to do is an interactive exercise to really sort of unpack the power of what I'm going to share with you, okay? So I need, Tokazi, come through, please. And I need 3 women. Gabby, Tapelo, T, come through. Thank you so much for volunteering. You know, sometimes you got to beg people. Sometimes they just jump right up. Let's go. Right. Step here for me. All right, step here for me. If you guys can stand behind, just 3 in a row here. There we go. I want you to imagine all of you are here. And behind you, you have 3 bodies. Your body 1 is your internal value, your ability to sing, your spirituality, your discipline. This is where your brain power comes in. But your ability to sing, the reason why you're on this show, your body 1, you have that. Your body 2 is your image. It speaks on your behalf before you say a word. Your body 2 is very, very important. Your body 3 is your associations and what you put out on social media, everything that's connected and associated to you. The fact that you've now been on Idols sits in your body 3. This is the framework. Are you with me? Guys, here's the thing. They all have to work together.
Yes.
You can be able to sing, but if your image is terrible, it's going to ruin the value of how you sound.
Is very important.
And the same thing with social media. You guys have gone through this social media exercise. You can physically kill. There are people who have destroyed their brands simply because they haven't managed the 3 bodies. So we're going to go through them. We're going to start talking with the first body, but we're going to go through them very carefully. And I'm going to share something with you that's going to change your life forever, okay? Who is willing to admit an area that you realize that you really need to work on? Okay? Yes.
How do you take your strongest body and utilize that?
Okay.
So how do I take that one and
Got
go
it.
like...
Great. So in your case, for example, if image is a strong thing, you've got a nice style, a nice aesthetic, and a nice feel, then you basically go, who are my partners and my associations on social media? How do I leverage that? How do I create images? If your voice is your strongest thing, post more videos. I know I'm not that hot, smooth guy, so you won't find me with selfies on my Instagram. So what I do is I post my strength, which is dialogue and learning. I position myself as the learning guy. That's my brand. Are you with me? So know your strength and exercise that and own it. Post yourself on the side of a mountain with a flowing dress and then put something about your song that's coming. You with me? I showed them a relationship between their brain and brand power, how to be able to hydrate their brain, to be able to perform at a higher level, but also showed them how to create what I call your imagination's beliefs and trigger the imaginations of themselves to override their beliefs, and also how to trigger the imagination of their fan base. It's going to be interesting to watch how they translate this work. I'm really excited about it because there's a group. This group is very talented and very special. So, you know, this idea in my book, Personal Brain Intelligence, which they got a copy of, will help them frame this idea in these Live Better talks. We'll be able to live beyond just today. I want to shift quickly now to phase 2. You'll see in your workbooks, we've got phase 2. Now we talked about what I consider to be your brain outward to the brand. Now we're going to talk about how to take your strongest personal brand and impact your fan base. So whether you like brand or celeb, it doesn't matter. That's all semantics. It's all words. It doesn't matter at all. The bottom line is you've been elevated in society and people are going to observe you more than they do other people. So the question becomes, how do you maximize the fact that people are observing you? So let's talk specifically about how to engage. Bottom of page 35, I want you to write down this term called alief, A-L-I-E-F, alief. So you have in your conscious mind a belief, you have in your subconscious mind an alief. So your belief is very simple. How many of you like going to the movies? Anybody like going to the movies? So you have a belief that this movie is fake. You know no one is really going to die in this movie, right? You walk in and you are clear in your conscious mind that this thing is fake. But then as soon as your favorite character gets shot, you cry. So your belief is it's fake. Your alief is your imagination's beliefs. Watch this closely. Your imagination's beliefs are critical to you as an artist. As an artist, your main goal is to trigger the imagination of your fan base. or whoever is listening. Maybe your belief is, I'm not good enough. Maybe your belief is, I don't really deserve this stage. That's real. It's a belief. But then you have the alief where things get really interesting. Your beliefs, I acknowledge them. So don't let no one tell you you shouldn't be scared. Don't let anybody tell you that you shouldn't have fear and all this other stuff. They're talking nonsense. It's natural. But then you have system 2 and you have your aliefs, which means you can trigger people into the dimension of imagination. And you can also trigger your own imagination, your own aliefs. Here's how it happens. You stay prayed up, you stay faithful, you go deep and you start to imagine yourself. Me plus tomorrow equals something. Me plus the next day on stage equals something. You start to imagine it. Research shows that you trigger what we call the mirror neurons, which is the part of the brain that's designed specifically to get you to experience things before it actually happens. We have that power as human beings. Is that you can look at me right now if this is boring and you can imagine yourself on the beach. And you can actually start feeling the beach. The sensations races down your body. So what happens is when you create those formulas in your imagination, your brain thinks it's real. So the moment you say me plus tomorrow on stage equals something, your brain is going, it's happening. From my book, they'll be able to create specific things like create an awareness for how their identity is formed, how to create relationships and structure relationships to build their brand out there in the public, how to position their story in terms of leveraging their value and creating an authentic brand. The PPQ model is an assessment model. It's the first time anybody's ever done it. So they'll be able to assess, self-assess, and also get assessment from colleagues and friends and so forth. That's really helpful to determine what the gaps are. This idea of influences. Personal branding came along. Tom Peters says that you're the CEO of Me Incorporated. Now we've moved on to a place of this influencer, where people will pay you. Guys, you're about to get paid to just show up at an event. How cool is that? Literally, people are going to pay you just to send out a tweet. I was invited to, I don't even have that many followers. I'm not one of those like massive, 2 million type people. But I've got what we call intimate followers, and that's what you can build. Intimate followers is if you've got 500 followers, but they really matter, and that 500 people, let's say 20% of them, which is 100 people, 20% care deeply about you, and 20% go out and buy a product that costs $2,000. 2,000 times 100, that's a lot. So people will pay you to engage because now you're gonna have intimate followers. So you gotta now start putting a value on what it means to you to tweet, to put out information, to share, to engage. That's what influencer, that's what this space of influence is about. Don't sell yourself short. You've got a special platform and a special opportunity to leverage your influence, okay? Probably the biggest takeaway is they'll be able to leave with a level of mastery and ownership relative to how they go about the next key chapters of their career, because the next key chapters are really important. Whether they make it to the top 3, top 5, whatever the case is, how do you go about specifically integrating your talent into the market? And I believe they'll be able to use the book to be able to do that. What is sort of the one thing you're taking away from this conversation?
What I'm taking away is me plus idols equals something.
Yes, and you're going to define that.
Yeah.
You're going to be very clear about it.
Of course.
Okay, cool.
My big takeaway here is that my mind is the strongest weapon that I have in going forward for whatever.
One of my biggest takeaways is that I have the ability to shape my destiny.
I want to just share with you a quick story about how the brain can change itself and unleash things in you that you don't know you have. Every single one of you is sitting here with capacity that's dormant. It's just there. You have no idea what it is. And the only way you're going to know is that when you face things and circumstances, it produces in you a rhythm. It's like society plays on you like an instrument. Pain and anything you face, any adversity, any challenges, plays on you. There's a social critic named Christopher Lasch that says that society produces in you itself in the form of personality. It's a production. Follow this closely. When you face difficulty and challenges on stage, in and around the spaces, it's producing in you like it's in a production studio. And things are happening that's not currently in your conscious. You're not currently aware of them. When I was literally 13 years old, things got really tough in my home. My mom lost her job and we really struggled financially. I was really good at sports. Before that, we were an average family, but we started struggling big time. And things got difficult to a point where I had no underwear. And I went to my mom and I said, I need new underwear. My mom was like, okay, well, I don't know what you're gonna do because we don't have underwear. So I went and took an old Batman t-shirt. And I cut the Batman t-shirt up and I put a logo on the back. And I made myself some Batman underwear. I went to school and I was terrified that I was gonna be branded the kid who's wearing homemade underwear. I had a crush on the captain of the cheerleaders named Deborah Dalton. Deborah wouldn't even look at me. You ever had a crush on somebody and they won't even look at you? Yes. You know what I'm talking about. Yes. You've had that? Not you. So I knew that if Deborah found out that I have on homemade underwear, my brand is finished. So I went to the PE class and it was time to change clothes. And I took my pants off, put my shorts on so that the two loudmouths named Steven and Chad didn't see me. But it was too late, they saw me. And they brought everybody over and they said, those are the nicest underwear we've seen. And I took an order that day for 50 pair of underwear. And I became the creative kid. And that's why I became who I am, is that I started learning from people. I started learning, why do people change their minds? What happened? And why did Deborah all of a sudden start liking me? Because my formula changed. Tim plus this school equals the creative kid now, no longer the struggling kid. You have the power to change your formula. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Timothy, I really like that he says, find your strength, understand what drives your influence, and understand what motivates you. To me, that's what I'm taking out. Timothy Maurice.